Hello, everybody. This is Laura from Healthy Carnivore. Just going to give you a little background story about myself. So, I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for over 22 years. Had to keep track because it's getting close to 23. I started doing keto in 1991 before it was called keto. Um, I don't know. It was just low carb to me, is what it basically was. I did that for 28 years. And then in 2019, was heading into menopause, was heading into the worst cystic acne I've ever had. Never had it as a teenager. Anxiety, depression, OCD was off the charts, and decided to go carnivore. Cured all of that, and then decided that I was going to do lion diet. Um, so the last 3 years I've done the lion diet with, I'm happy to report, I can eat farm real eggs, not the eggs from the store, but I actually can go see the chickens. I know what they're being fed. I can do that. Cannot do the cheese. I keep trying, but I cannot. But I can do the eggs again. So that's something for me, because I could not do that before. Now, I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty sure that keto worked for me for 26 years until I started eating the carnivore or keto treats, like your Quest bars and your Atkin bars and stuff like that. Until I started implementing that stuff into my diet and then trying to make everything like your cheesecakes and your things that looked just like, the sin food that we were eating before, but making it keto with all these crazy ingredients, guar gum. I can't even remember half of the ingredient. I mean, just crazy stuff. But I think it was the fake sugars. I really think it was like the sucralose. I think it was a lot of those sugar alcohols. It was too much for my system and it destroyed my gut. I had leaky gut, something fierce. And so that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to have to do carnivore and clean this stuff up. So little by little, every so often, I try to introduce something in. I'll have a handful of berries, like the mulberries were in like the last 2 weeks, and I might have a handful of that over a week's time because I figure our ancestors would have eaten berries in season. So I'm going to do that. I didn't have any ill effects. It didn't drive me to want something sweet or be digging for something or increase my hunger signals. It did not do that. So that is a little bit about myself. Hey, Tara. Hey, T. Thank you. She says she's happy to see me here and teaching about good things. So, what tonight's discussion is going to be over is cortisol. So, if you have any questions, anything that you want to ask a question, or you just want to give me information, let's say you want me to um, talk about something that maybe I haven't done a video on before, throw it in the comments, okay? And then, of course, if you like this, you know what to do. You hit your thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, you could do so and then hit the notification bell and share this out if you know anybody who has any of these issues as I go over these. Cortisol is a sneaky little demon and it needs to be in our bodies and used as it's supposed to be. But I think we're in such this high demand world where it's like work, 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 computers and phones and busy, busy, busy. And you never have any kind of downtime except for when you're asleep. And that's if you can fall asleep and have good sleep. So that really throws off our circadian. It really affects our adrenal glands. We end up with adrenal fatigue and overproduction of cortisol. And then cortisol, it has good reasons to be there when it is to try to wake us up. We should not have high levels of it all the time. So, cortisol is a stress hormone. It is produced by the adrenal glands. It helps to regulate metabolism, blood sugar, inflammation, blood pressure, which is something that I've seen a lot, and the sleep wake cycle. It is also essential for the body's fight or flight response. So you want to have a buildup of cortisol kind of sitting there waiting for the ready, like a battery. And when the shit hits the fan and you need to, fight or flight, you want to be able to boom, hit from that. And then the adrenaline. If you constantly have these high levels, that system doesn't work like that anymore. It's like you don't have the energy. You will feel tired, um, subdued and stuff like that, which is not anything you want to do. So, all right. Hey, Cheryl. Hi. And Simpson. Hello. And Maria Kelly. Hello. Or Marla. Sorry. Good to see you guys on here. So, how can cortisol affect our bodies? So, normal levels will help with our energy. It helps with our focus and it helps control the inflammation. We all have that. So, I'm not going to name names, but there was somebody that I worked kind of with, and it was like nothing they could do was decreasing their inflammatory markers no matter what it was they were eating. They were eating super clean. I totally believe and trust that they were doing that. Um, and their inflammation markers were off the chart. And I'm like, you don't have Lyme disease. You don't, everything was tested. And I'm like, I really think you need to do a 24-hour urine cortisol test. Um, and I don't think it was that expensive, but it was under $100. And they did it. And the doctor was like, oh my God, like they could not believe how high this cortisol level was on her. So once we did the things that I'll go over, with you and got those levels to even out, her inflammatory markers it was like they were here today, gone tomorrow. It was very quick that they were just gone. So it is something that you can turn around very quickly. Hey, B, good seeing you on here as well. So, another thing that the cortisol does and how it affects our body is chronic high levels can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, which we already started at. We don't want to maintain that. Anxiety and muscle breakdown. And this is one of those that you're like, seriously, here we're trying to maintain muscle because, as we get older, we have sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. And so we have to work very hard to keep muscle and to build muscle. So we need to really work to try to keep the cortisol down. The other thing is chronically low levels of cortisol, which can happen very easily because when you keep having that same high amount, the adrenals are like, okay, we don't have to make anything. Then your system just gets wrecked. It gets lower and lower and lower. And then that causes worsening fatigue, low blood pressure. And I'll tell you a story about that, and poor stress tolerance. When I first started working in med surge at a bigger hospital, working 12 and a half hours, hour drive each directions to work, charge nurse, plus taking a team, the whole 9 yards. When they would take my blood pressure, and granted, my pressure does run lower, like definitely under 100, over 50s. But I can remember going to see they had a nurse practitioner that you could see. And I just remember feeling like I was run down. I was like, let's make sure I don't have a UTI or something, because I'm the kind of nurse that doesn't leave the floor if there's call lights on. So I may not pee for 10 hours, 12 hours sometimes during a shift. And so I thought, well, I probably have a UTI. So I go up there and she took my blood pressure and she stood back and she's like, let's check it in the other arm. I'm like, okay. And I was awake, but it was like I was on autopilot, and she took it in the other arm and it was 70/44. And she was like, something's not right. Well, and we never did just find out that, hey, it was cortisol. I'm just saying, I'll bet you it was because I had such large amount of stress. As becoming a brand new RN, I had been an LPN for 5 years, went back and got my RN. And literally within 6 weeks, they had me charge nursing 57 bed floor, plus precepting and teaching, plus taking a team of my own, and charge nurse. it was a lot of stress. Now I can do pretty well under stress, but for long periods of time, and as you know, in the medical system, they will gladly let you work yourself to death. And then when you drop, they will step right over your little bodies laying there and they'll go hire the next person and do the exact same thing. So I did learn in about 18 months of doing that, that I was not going to continue to do that. I learned how to say no. I never decreased patient care, but it was like, no, I'm not taking extra. No, I'm not going to work 512s. No, I'm not giving up. I just learned how to say no. But I do really think that that was one thing. And the other thing is I couldn't recover. Like if there was a really stressful thing, I could not I could not get it out of my head. I could not let it go. It was like it just kept replaying. And part of that's my anxiety, depression that I was dealing with at the time, which I'm happy to say it's been over 6 years and I don't have that. I do still keep a little OCD and I'm happy about that. I want to keep that. And I think that's a good trait for a nurse to have because we don't leave stuff out. We do what we're supposed to do. So hey, Don, how are you? Less junk, more health. Hey, I like that. And Florida, good for you. Well, right now, it's a little rainy here on the in Illinois, and I'm the opposite side of Chicago. I am the west central side. Hey, Darth, how are you? Let's see. Wonder how reliable serum cortisol tests are. Heard there are different types of cortisol tests. Everything that I have ever seen, like endocrinology, um, trying to think. I've seen endocrinology, I've seen rheumatology use this. Everybody I have seen, it's kind of like the gold standard is yeah, the blood test can give you an idea, but that 24-hour urine collection gives a better overall picture. It's the same way with a lot of other hormones, like female hormones, testosterone. That 24-hour, like Dutch test, I think they call that. It's a better I think it's a better accurate test. That's what I would do. So, causes of high cortisol. So, chronic stress is so funny. I wrote emotional, physical, and mental, but I thought physician. And I'm like, yeah, I had some stress from physicians. Some were really good and some were not so great. Um, Poor sleep and sleep deprivation, and that's that vicious cycle. I don't have insomnia, but I have worked with people that have horrific insomnia, and it's just like they're in a hamster wheel. It's like can't get sleep, can't get sleep, can't get sleep, then they're so tired, but then it's like okay, then they crash, but they don't sleep for very long, and then they're back up because their cortisol said hey, get your ass out of bed, and it just kind of goes. I mean, it's horrible to see it. um and you really do have to work very closely with them to figure out what are their triggers because it's not always the same thing. So, high intensity exercise without allowing yourself recovery. So, when I was in my 40s, I absolutely late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, I did high intensity workout 6 days a week. And I mean, 45-minute hit classes of just full on out. I didn't allow my body to recover. So because I was doing them day to day to day instead of alternating. And I did find that alternating and doing different types of workouts, different body parts, different muscle groups did help me kind of decrease, that inflammation or chronic illness. So people who have like Lyme's disease, autoimmune disorders, a lot of times we have to work very hard to get their cortisol back into a normal amount. Excessive caffeine or stimulants. And I know a lot of people are like, don't you take away my coffee, water it down. I don't even drink it anymore. I was doing it for a while, um, just to put my electrolytes and my iodine in. I just do hot water with my electrolytes, put my iodine in that now, because I am caffeine sensitive, not to the point where I got jittery. I just didn't sleep as well, I felt like, so I just got rid of it. Cushing's syndrome, which is a rare condition that causes extra and excessive amounts of cortisol. That all has to do with adrenal glands. Okay, Cushing's syndrome. Medications such as steroids. So, like, I take a asthma inhaler. I only take one puff a day. It's supposed to be two puffs twice a day. It is a corticosteroid. They're not quite as bad as, like, say you were taking straight Solumedrol or prednisone or methylprednisone, things like that. If you were doing something like that, it really can't. Or if you're doing, the steroid injections, a lot of people do that for allergies. A lot of people do that for muscle gain. Those are things that they would have to be careful. You ever heard of roid rage? Roid rage is connected to two things. One, cortisol level goes through the roof, and then also it messes with the way their neurotransmitters work in the brain. Nobody needs roid rage, okay? So, common symptoms of high cortisol, and once you hear these, you're going to go, yep, I walk through Walmart and I can tell you the people when they go by most of the time. Not that you're judging them, we're not that way, but I am a people watcher. So, weight gain, especially around the abdomen, increase belly fat, no matter how much activity you're doing, no matter how good your diet is, but you're keeping it around that midsection, which is mostly visceral fat. Um, Anxiety, irritability, mood swings, all saying, hey, this is going on. Insomnia, poor sleep quality or duration, high blood pressure, muscle weakness, or extreme muscle breakdown, where you're like, hey, I'm doing all these workouts. I should be getting, a nice delt cap. I should be getting some biceps and triceps. And you're doing all the work, but you look down there and it's just like nothing, nothing is staying. That's one. Sugar craving and even blood sugar imbalances, even though you maybe are doing no sugar or, very minimal, that your sugars will just go all over the map. Okay. And that's because cortisol is a steroid type. Um, it's just the way it's going to work, unfortunately. Another thing, this should have been, if I'd only known this back then, I would get sinus infection. So I don't know if you or anybody kind of is always getting this upper respiratory, ear infection, sore throat, strep throat, constant, constant, constant. Frequent infections is due to your immune system being weakened, and you definitely see that with cortisol. I had all of that, all of that. So I'm sure you guys will have people that hey Tom, how are you? Um, that have these symptoms. And it's like, you know, and it's such an easy test. And most doctors, if you just tell them, like, hey, I've got these symptoms, this is what's going on. Can we just do a 24-hour urine for cortisol? I mean, you go to the lab, you pick up this container, you pick up everything. They give you the directions, the whole nine yards. You do have to keep it in the fridge. Don't accidentally, pour it out. So, causes of low cortisol, because we really want our cortisol to kind of be steady. We don't want it to be tanked and we don't want it to be elevated. We kind of just want it to be what they call homeostasis, just kind of nice and steady. So, adrenal insufficiency or Addison's disease, which is the opposite. Okay. Um, so of the Cushing's. So Addison's is not enough cortisol. Cushing's is like crazy amount. Okay. So Addison's disease, chronic stress leading to adrenal burnout. If any of you have been through a divorce, you definitely probably had this, most likely. Poor nutrition or extreme fasting. Wait a second. Yes, those are things. Poor nutrition. Boy, how many people are walking around with this? And extreme fasting. Now, when I was looking up, what do you consider extreme fasting? Everything it said was like these 7 to 40-day fast that were water only coming from the standard American diet. And I'm like, well, yeah, my God, I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But I couldn't find anything that said people who do ketogenic, carnivore, high fat diets where that gave them any issue because they can switch into ketone burning. So I would say it would depend on how far you are into this journey and how that's going. So let's see, Liliana, my doctor thinks I have diabetes insidious. This related to the cortisol. I don't sleep. Yes. Yes. But is completely fixable, completely fixable. And then pituitary gland dysfunction. So that is right inside the midbrain there. So pituitary gland is the master gland. I know everybody thinks it's the your thyroid. Your pituitary gland is what it secretes TSH to tell the thyroid what to do with the rest of it and turn it into T3 or T4. So managing cortisol, and this is all natural things of doing, okay? First thing I would do, which is 100% free, is I would get my bare feet outside. And if you all you have is concrete, take a little glass of water, pour water on that concrete first thing in the morning. Don't look at any lights, don't look at your phone. Beeline out the door and stand in that little puddle of water on your cement. Or if you have grass, get in the grass, put your feet into the grass on the dirt and stand there 5-10 minutes if you can. I mean, if you can do longer than that, so be it. My brain won't let me usually stand still for that too much longer than 10 minutes. So, but that would be one thing. Wim Hof deep breathing. So it's just WIM Hof, I believe, HOFF, I believe, Wim Hof breathing techniques. You can look that up. Gary Brecka is somebody who does the Wim Hof. So that is something that really kind of helps reset the central nervous system. Hey, Thomas. Um, Meditation, quiet time, just sitting with nobody talking to you, no interactions with anything or anybody, and just relaxing and just getting inside your own head and calming yourself and seeing yourself in a better place. Getting outside in nature. This is one of my favorite things. This is probably why I like to fish. I love hunting. I love it. It's because I love to be outside. Even if I don't see a deer, which is rare, but there have been days where I'm like, I didn't see a deer today, but I got to see this. And I heard the owls and whatever. It's like, get out in nature if you can. And if you live in a big city, they got parks. Get out there by the trees, touch the trees. Literally, you can do grounding by just touching trees. Prioritize sleep. So I would kind of make a schedule for yourself if you can. Try to stay consistent. Get off all of the devices, anything blue light, try to get off of all of those an hour before you go to bed, and making sure that the room is dark and as cool as you can possibly stand it. Okay. Doing that really does help give you better sleep. Another thing is exercising smart, balancing higher intensity workouts with recovery. So I'll tell you what I do, which doesn't mean everybody has to do this or that I am perfect, because I am not. But Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as you know, I'm OCD. That's my sprinting days. And I sprint like a bat out of hell and rebound and do my functional stretching. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do extreme lifting, heavy upper body lifting. Every single day, I do functional stretching, which is kind of my meditation time. I will do different types of functional stretching, but I do different body parts, different days. And so I'm not always keeping that level high every single day. So that has what's really been good for me. It works well with just with me in general. So another thing is eating nutrient dense diet. So really animal based, healthy fats and minerals, especially magnesium. Really, really need the magnesium. That's the other thing. If you're going to do a supplement, magnesium L-threonate or magnesium glycinate, I would absolutely get. I really think that that will kind of help reset a lot of this. Limit caffeine. And of course, they said, oh, and limit your sugar. I say don't have sugar. That's going to be the one of the best things you can do, because those two things are the two most common precursors or things that initiate cortisol release when it's not its normal circadian time. Those two things actually will cause you to spike and release it. So um, if after doing these things, if you're still, and I mean, it could take a little while, but most people I've worked with, it's just a few days and they're like, yep, I'm starting to feel better. Another trick, not everybody loves fat as much as I do, but having a little bit of fat an hour before you go to bed or so, it doesn't have to be exactly an hour, but prior to going to bed, couple bites of butter if you do dairy. If you don't, you have ribeye fat, couple ribeye fat bites. Helps so much in that rest part of your sleep. I can't recommend that enough. So, but if they persist, you can always ask for more hormonal, deeper testing, more to get to the bottom of why the cortisol is to that, checking the adrenals. Hopefully you don't have to do anything like that. Most of the time, these are things that can really, kind of get it turned around. A lot of times we don't realize how what we say to ourselves in our brains, even if we don't say it out loud, but we say it here, our body's like, sure enough, we touche. If you say it, I will do it and I'll be it. So I'm like, see yourself well. And I know that sounds hokey, but I promise you it is absolutely, you have to see yourself well. You got to see what the other side's going to look like to help give you a reason to get to the other side of being healthy. So let's see. Tara says, thank you, Tom. Tara says, nature is my cortisol stabilizer. Yep, I would agree with you. Yeah, you definitely have a different look on you when you're walking in nature or doing your Marco Polos with us. Simpson says, I have been doing fat fasting where I keep the protein very low, along, of course, with 0 carbs 3 days a week, but I still don't show ketones on my P stick. Cortisol problem. Possibly, because with fat fast, you really should be showing ketones, although I don't know your activity level. Ketones are our energy source when we're not using glucose. So there were times where I would do my keto mojo and poke my finger and get my blood result, and it would be like 3.5, and I felt good, but I'd use the urine stick and it'd show no ketones. And I'm like, what the hell? Well, that's because the ketones were being burned, being used for energy. So those byproducts, those end products would still be in the bloodstream, but the ketones don't come out in the urine because you're burning them up. So it could be that too. If that continues and you're not feeling well, then I would ask your doctor to see if you can get, the 24-hour cortisol test. I really would. I mean, it takes 24 hours. Every time you get up, you pee, you add it into this container and you put it in the fridge. And yeah, I mean, it just takes 24 hours. I usually recommend to do it like on a Saturday so that it's on the weekend. It's just easier to do. So Darlene says, let's see, Laura, can a problem with sympathetic nervous system be from high cortisol? Yes. Yes. Yes, it can. Um, there are different things that you can do. You can go, I don't know his name. There are a couple people out on YouTube. I think if you type in uh, natural, what did I type in before? Natural remedies for the sympathetic nervous system. Type in something like that. And there are two people that I know of that I have seen on there that talk about some different things that you can do to kind of reset that. So Cheryl says, what is Marco Polo? So Marco Polo It is a messaging app. I'll show you what it looks like. And so I have, so it's right here in the very bottom by my finger. So it looks like a little globe right there. So what it is it's an app that I can get on. I don't want to have show anybody's names on here. So okay, I'm not going to be able to show you that because it has everybody's names. But what it is like on my YouTube channel, there is a level on there. It's called like Carnivore Life. Maybe it's called Lion 24/7 or something. Anyway, it's a group where you pay 19.99 a month, and then I send you a link. You download the free Marco Polo app, and then basically it's either in groups. I have different groups. There's a couple of us that have different groups where multiple people are in it, and we all kind of help each other, along, give pointers every day of like, this is the exercise I did. What are you going to do for today? Is it a rest day? Whatever it may be. Or if they have simple questions for me. Now, if it's in depth, deep, medical questions that they need a lot of time on, then I just say, hey, hit the button for speak to a nurse on my website, which is on the screen there. It's russellbrands.com with a Z. And I work with people there. But Marco Polo, it's just a nice app where you can get on there, you record yourself as to what you're asking or doing or whatever it may be. And then it goes out and then it goes to whoever is connected to that. I have some that it is just one-on-one with me. I have some where it's me and Robin Heron from Carnivorous Grandma. I'm in a couple different ones that way. So we have a men's group. If there's any men out there, we have a men's group that needs more. We've got 3 men in there, but hey, 4 would be really, really good. It's just nice to have other people who are in different levels of healing and getting away from standard American diet. I have 6 years, Robin's over 2 years, Charlie's 2 years. There's just different people on there that have different amounts. There are some that are keto or ketovore. There are some that are carnivore. There are some that are just keto, and that's fine. Like, it's all ketogenic. We just want to have people have a place to get and ask questions and to have that camaraderie where you can have somebody have your back. Like, I may notice like, oh, hey, you've got this, or they'll notice on me. Like one time I had one of the gals that's one-on-one, and she was like, oh, she goes, you've got puffiness around your nose. And I'm like, yeah, I ate a cheese stick yesterday with my grandkids. And that's what histamine inflammation looks like on me. So, but it's kind of nice to have somebody on there that looks at that and sees it. So, let's see. Adrian says, hope you understand that you're doing God's work. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. I'm just doing what I feel like the healthcare system should be doing. I don't feel like I'm doing anything above what a nurse should be doing, what a doctor, what a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant. I feel like we should be doing whatever we can to help people get to their healthiest place, because I hate to see somebody miserable. I don't like to see a wounded animal, and I'm a deer hunter. Like, that's why I shoot once, like, and it's done. I'm not a take a shitty shot and then I have to shoot him 3 times. Not going to happen with me. That's not the way I am. It's not the way I work. So, but I do appreciate that. Thank you. Jiffy says, hi, Laura, again. I'm running late. Always glad to hear your information. Hey, Julie. Yeah. So again, the Marco Polo groups, when we first started doing the Marco Polo group, I was like, 19.99 a month. I'm like, do I have enough to give to somebody that's worth 19.99 a month? And the first month I was like, I don't know. But then it was like time after time, it was like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And then you develop a rapport with these people that it's not the same as if I could just physically see them sitting in my dining room, but it really is. I do nothing different with the people on Marco Polo than I do the people who come here to either see my products or to talk about ketogenic type diets and are sitting at my dining room table. 100% the same, except I can like physically, touch their hand. That's the only difference. So it's really been, it's been a good thing to do, for sure. So, and it keeps me consistent with my journey as well as helping other people. It's like I stay active. I'm very OCD, so I do my things. If anybody ever wanted to kidnap me, they really could, because I literally do the same things over and over again. So, okay, so I'm going to go over next week's thing, and then I'm going to get off of here because there's some other gals online. So next week we're going to be going over insulin. Okay, I'm going to discuss, that it's a hormone. I'm going to discuss what makes it, why it's used, what happens, all the things to do with insulin. So that will be next Monday. Tomorrow night at 7:30 Central Standard Time, I will be on with Russ Mitchell from Homesick Buckeye, and that is We Grillin' Baby. And we don't talk about grilling, but we do talk all things ketogenic and some things that are not ketogenic, just like what's going on in the world, happy-go-lucky things. He sings, and he can sing like he sings. He sings very well, and a few educational things. So please come there and watch that as well. So anyway, thank you guys for being here tonight. I really do appreciate you guys. And like I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat. See ya.